Vissel Gayantha says, I ain't gonna tell you nothing. I don't want nothing. I've heard these phrases in movies. Should I use double negatives? These are double negatives. Should I use them all the time, or can we just say, I want nothing? So actually, the way that it should be is, I don't want anything. That's the technically, grammatically correct sentence. I don't want anything. Among all the things, none of them are what I want. And that there's no grammatical conflict. There's no double negative, as you're calling it. So if you want to be perfectly grammatically correct, that's how you should say it. I don't want anything. I don't want anything. Now, your suggestion, which is I want nothing, sometimes if your emphasis is on the nothing and you want to make people feel that you are completely independent, self-sufficient, and maybe your emotional needs are zero, then sometimes people use that phrasing. I want nothing. I want nothing. I just want to sit here and be quiet. Maybe. But I think I don't want anything is a lot more common. That would be the natural way to say it. Now, your two sentences here. I ain't going to tell you nothing. I don't want nothing. These two are what you hear in movies and TV shows often. But that doesn't make them correct English. But that also doesn't make them wrong. Because correct English is only a thing that gives us a sense of structure in the language, is what we maybe learn in school, or what we write down on a page, or what grammarly corrects for us, right? We have this baseline of correct English. But then, among native English speakers, it's just kind of a mess. Some people speak correctly, some people don't. There are regional things where if you live in this area, it's normal to say that, it's normal to say this. And I wouldn't say wrong anymore. I wouldn't say that's wrong. I wouldn't walk up to someone and say, you said I don't want nothing. That's wrong. That would be an insane thing for me to do, and I don't even want to do that because it's not wrong in the broader sense. Because language is language. It's bendy, it's flexible. People use it in different ways. And as Picasso said, Picasso and who else said it? Picasso and somebody else. Can't remember. Maybe the Dalai Lama. Maybe the Dalai Lama said that. Dali or Dalai? Dalai Lama? Dalai Lama. I forget. Anyway, so don't break the rules until you master them. If you know the rules, then you can break them. But first know them, right? So for you, English learners, I would say, you should learn I don't want anything. And you should master English. You should know it. Because that's reaching the top of the mountain, right, of native fluency. But then, once you get to the top, you can just flail and roll down and bump against trees, and you can do whatever you want. If someone says, I don't want nothing, if someone says, well, what would be an example? Maybe they write W-U-T instead of W-H-A-T, right, or whatever. Anything that doesn't follow the rules is fine, because it's expression. It's communication. I know what this person means. Now, that has a connotation. I've used a lot of air quotes, haven't I, in this explanation. This is the last time. The last time. This has a connotation to me. The connotation is, if someone says, I don't want nothing, my sense is maybe not particularly well educated. Maybe not my favorite person to talk to, because that's just the sense I get from that usage of the language. You make choices, right? I ain't gonna tell you nothing. That one even more so. If someone says, I ain't gonna tell you nothing, they might be using that sarcastically to sound informal and less educated, in order to give me a certain impression, and that's where it gets really complicated and subtle. But if someone generally talks in that way and everything they say sounds like that, that's fine. That's up to them. But I still have my own impression of that, right? Not my favorite way of speaking. Someone said that to me in a job interview and I'm interviewing them, that will negatively impact their chances of being hired because I care about that kind of thing, right? So language is how you express yourself. And once you're at the native level, there's no such thing as wrong in common conversation, but then you have to be aware of how what you say affects others. And the job interview would be a good example of certain ways of speaking hurting your chances of being successful in your career, right? So if someone says, I'm interviewing someone, they say, well, I was just like working really hard and like with the team and the team is like really good. This person will not be hired. Not in a million years, right? I'd rather hire a snail than this person. So I hope that answers the question. And that doesn't mean you can't use double negatives, but I would recommend getting to the top of the mountain first, Vissel, before you flail and flop your way down. That would be my suggestion. And even when you are flailing and flopping your way down, be aware that the choices you make have an impression. If you don't care, then do whatever you want. If you do care, then just know how you want to communicate and choose your words. Okay, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. That is much appreciated. It helps the channel immensely. And also, if you want to see future videos and live streams, if you want to know when those are happening, subscribe. And also check out my courses in the links in the description.